Hello and welcome back to AT's Make and Repair. Well, today I've got a short video for you just to show you how I made a pallet puller. I've made one in the past, but my wife suggested to me, she said, look, why don't you make one of those pallet pullers, those pallet dismantlers, to show people how easy it is to make and also how easy it works. So I'm going to make one this morning. I'm going to make it with a different size handle to the one I made mine with, which was probably too big a handle. And I'll show you how easily it works at dismantling pallets. There's a lot of really good wooden pallets to be used and recycled. So come along with me and I'll show you how I did it today. So here's the piece of plate I'm going to be using on this job. It's a fairly rusty old piece. On the other side it's fairly pitted like that. But on this side here it's not too bad. And we really only need the one good size. This is a 3/8 thick piece of plate, or 9mm thick piece of plate. You could probably get away with 5/16 or 8mm plate. No worries at all. I did make another one of these pallet pullers a long time back, and it's got an 8mm plate and it's more than strong enough. You could probably get away with less, but I wouldn't guarantee that. I don't think quarter plate would do it, but I definitely know the 8 and the 3/8, 8mm or the 9mm or the 5/16 or the 3/8 plate will do it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I've marked a square line on here, on this piece of plate. Now you could buy a piece of 6" by 3/8 flat bar and cut it out of that. This is just an offcut that I had. This is an old bit of plate that I had down with some steel I've got stored, just in the steel rack. So that's what I'm going to use for this particular video. So I'm going to get into that now. I'll just cut those two to get the nice corner square, and then we'll mark out the remainder of the job. Here I'm marking out the base plate. I must have bumped the camera and I didn't realise it, but you will see a picture of this drawn up, and the plans will be later in the video too. There we go, finally realised. Here I'm about to cut the notch out of the middle to facilitate this plate to go down over the rails of the pallets. I've made this to suit common size rails on pallets. If you have a different sized rail, you might have to make this notch bigger. But here in Australia, most pallets, the rails are under 50mm wide or 2 inches wide. I think most of them are around about 1.5 inches or 38mm wide. So this suits most common size rails on pallets. You need this to slip over the rail for it to work effectively. Also, the depth of this notch I've made 85mm or 3 3/8 inches deep. The reason for that is most common size boards on the top of pallets are between 3 inches to 4 inches wide, or 75 to 100mm wide. That's why I've made this notch that depth. You could probably even pull a wider pallet. It facilitates getting underneath the nail head, so the boards could be possibly even wider. You still may be able to pull them. I now go on to bevel the edges with the angle grinder, put 45s in the corners, make the entry to that notch there nice and smooth so it slips in underneath the boards easily and over the rails. At the bottom of that notch I put a round over so it sits on the rails properly. I give it a good wire brush on both sides to clean it up. I then go on to file the bottom of the groove here and clean the corners up nice and neat. And I'll show you another photo at the end if I can of this a bit closer up to the top edge on this side. I round a bit, and the bottom edge, actually it's the bottom edge I round, just to make it so when it slips in on the rail it curves down nice and easy and gently. I now clean up and shiny up all the area where I'm going to weld the pipe handle on. That way it gets good adherence there, good weld there, because I'm using a MIG welder and they don't like dirty steel that well. This is a gas MIG, it's not a flux cord one. This is the piece of pipe I'm going to use for the handle. I actually didn't switch the camera on for the welding, sorry about that, but I just put a good bead of weld around the bottom of the pipe. The end of the pipe I cut nice and square. I made sure when I tacked it, the base of the pipe was sitting down nice and flush on this piece of plate, so it's nice and square in its orientation. And of course after I weld it I've just given it a bit of a clean up. I may end up painting it in the end, just with a bit of grey primer or something like that. I made a hardwood bung, just turned it up in my wood lathe and just tapped it in the end of the pipe like that, just stop any dirt and muck from getting down that. So there we have the finished product, and I'll show you how it works on several pellets here. So I usually step up on top of the pellet, I slip it down in between. There's some pellets where the boards are, it's fully boarded across the top. You'll have to knock the edge board off first. Once you get the edge board off, you'll be able to get the rest off. So I just slip it in there, lever up. It's as simple as this. And there's one board off already. Once you've got that board off, as you can see, they're about 3-inch nails. Once you've got that one board off, you can slip it around, turn it around. One hand, there you go. Plenty of leverage. That's 2 boards. Literally I could have the pallet stripped within 5 minutes. What I find with this puller is you might get the odd nail that pulls through. If it's an old pallet and when it's been sitting for a while and the nails are rusted in sort of, you may have a nail head that'll pull through the top board. But if they're a fresh pallet like this, they pull very easily usually for standard nails. You very rarely split a board too, I find, when you use one of these too, because such is the broadness and they pull on either side too. If the pallet goes to the edge of the board, sometimes you might split then, but very rarely. It still works well on the edge if the board goes to the edge. This is real time, you see in here, you can see how quick it does it, and I'm not exactly pushing myself and going fast. I stripped a pallet just recently. It was about a 3.6 metre pallet, you know, which is roughly a bit over 9 foot, and I stripped it in no time. Look, under 10 minutes, probably 5 to 10 minutes. The delousing or taking the nails out takes longer. The cracking sound you're hearing is not splitting at all. It's just the nail pulling out of the below timber. That's all it is. Like I said, you very rarely ever split with one of these tools. But with a pry bar, or a crowbar of any style, you find that, or a wrecking bar, you find you split the edge of the board a lot of times if you don't do it correctly. There you have it. Hope you enjoyed that video, and it might be a help to some of you people out there that want to strip some pallets. Look, some of the pallets I've collected over years have had unbelievable timber in them. They've been custom made pallets for certain jobs and they've used good quality timber. A lot of the shabby chic or rustic type of country style type of little cupboards etc. that you make can be made out of this very well. Thanks for joining me. Please hit the like button. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now. Here are the plans for my style of pallet puller. First one is in metric. The second one is in imperial. This one coming up now is an imperial. Feel free to screenshot them and zoom in to get the sizes. Here it is painted.